based on my studies, there are issues with the modern view of the universe. For example, the mass energy equivalence principle. Einstein's special theory says that mass and energy are interchangeable, that is E equals mc squared. That equation suggests that mass and energy are equivalent. Mass can be converted into energy and vice versa. However, experimental evidence for the mass energy equivalence principle is the release of the huge amount of energy associated with the mass defect in nuclear reactions and other events in the universe. One of the experimental evidences for the according to the current understanding, the experimental evidences for the mass energy equivalence principle is the release of energy associated with the mass defect in nuclear reactions. However, I have a different explanation for how nuclear energy is released in a nuclear reaction with the mass defect. So, the energy associated with the mass defect mostly appears as the kinetic energy of the product fragments. So, most of the energy with the mass associated with the mass defect released in the form of kinetic energy of the product fragments or product particles. So I investigated about the origin of the kinetic energy of these products, and I discovered something very interesting. That is, for example, when a radioactivity, for example, when a uranium-238 decays an alpha, when a uranium-238 undergoes alpha decay, the alpha particle, the helium nucleus, attain around 6% of the speed of light, and the product nucleus, thorium-234, recoils in the just opposite direction. So when a uranium-38 emits an alpha particle, the alpha particle travels in one direction at the 6% of the speed of light, and the product nucleus, thorium-234, recoils in the opposite direction at a slower speed. It is just like how a gun shoots a bullet. When a gun shoots a bullet, the bullet goes in one direction at high speed, and the bullet goes in one direction at high speed, and the gun recoils in the opposite direction at a slower speed. This is the reason for we know that this is because of an explosion. The exploding material, the explosive material in the gun or in the bullet inside, when it explodes, the explosion, the rapid expansion of the material means the solid state material is converted into a superheated gas in a fraction of a second. So the fast expansion, the rapid expansion propels the bullet in one direction. So when the bullet goes in one direction, the gun recoils in the just opposite direction. So when you see this phenomenon through the lens of conservation of momentum and energy, we can see that there is an explosion. We already know what is happening with the bullet, how the bullet gets energy from. We know that, but we can mathematically confirm that because of the high speed of the small mass bullet and the recoil of the gun at a slower speed, we can mathematically confirm, mathematically verify what is happening here. That is explosion that we already know. But when I studied the nuclear reactions, nuclear radioactivity, other nuclear reactions such as the fission reaction of 235, when uranium 235 splits, it undergoes a fission reaction, it creates 2-3 neutrons and barium nucleus and krypton nucleus. Neutrons are comparatively much less mass here, much less heavier than the product nuclei. Neutrons have the same mass. The 2 or 3 neutrons are propelled at high speed. All the 3 neutrons travel at the same speed, high speed, but at the same time, the barium nucleus and krypton nucleus, they travels in almost just opposite directions, and the barium nucleus, since barium nucleus is slightly heavier than the krypton nucleus, the barium nucleus travels slightly less than the speed of the krypton nucleus. Krypton nucleus is slightly less heavier than barium nucleus. So when you see all this process, that is the small particles, neutrons are almost, they are traveling at the same speed but high speed, and the barium nucleus and the krypton nucleus travels propelled at a lesser speed, and also krypton travels slightly higher speed than barium. So when you see all these things, and when you see this process or phenomenon through the lens of the conservation of momentum and energy, we see the same conclusion that what we observe in the gun. When a gun shoots a bullet, we can mathematically confirm there is a explosion happening. Same thing when you see this fission of uranium 235. When you see this phenomenon through the lens of the conservation of momentum and energy, you will reach the same conclusion, that is one explosion. In fact, my research suggests that in fact in a nuclear reaction also there is a explosion happening. We can mathematically verify that the product fragments such as the neutrons and nuclei, in this case of fission reaction of uranium 35, this also caused by an explosion. Now, we know that when a fission reaction or any nuclear reaction happens, there is an associated mass defect. So we can confirm that there is an explosion. Plus, we already know that there is a mass defect. So that leads to the conclusion that the mass defect explode. In fact, based on my research, every mass defect in the universe are explode. In fact, a mass defect explosively transformed into another form of matter. Explosion means nothing. Matter does not simply disappear. Matter, in fact, transformed into another form of matter. That is explosion. So, in fact, according to special theory, the mass equivalence principle says that matter destroyed and it is converted into energy. That is the mass equivalence principle suggests. Matter is converted into energy. However, since I mass effect. In fact, nuclear energy is released in the form of the major portion of the nuclear energy in any reaction, particle collision experiment, radioactivity, radio fusion reaction, any reaction. The energy associated with the mass effect mostly appears in the form of the kinetic energy of the product fragments and product particles. So my conclusion is that mass effect explosively transformed into another form of matter. In fact, this suggests that the mass energy equivalence principle is not valid. It challenges the mass energy equivalence principle because the matter is not lost. In fact, matter is not lost. It is transformed into another form of matter, but still that is also another form of matter. Matter is not destroyed, but matter is transformed into another form of matter. That's the same that when an explosion happens, when a chemical explosive material explodes, it converts into another form, another state of matter. In fact, it's a change in the state of matter. When an explosive explodes, the explosive material is converted into superheated gas in a fraction of a second. In this case, mass effect, the expansion ratio is very huge. We can't compare the nuclear explosion and the chemical explosion. For example, when a chemical explosion happens, a gram of chemical explosive, for example, if it is a very highly energetic explosion like TNT, when it explodes, 1 gram of TNT explode. In a, I am not I say telling it's not an accurate thing, but for your understanding, I'm explaining. A gram of TNT is converted into 10 cubic feet of superheated gas in a 1/10 of a second. That is, we can say like that. A gram of TNT explosive, 1/10 seconds. In 1/10 seconds, it becomes a 10 cubic feet of superheated gas. We can say like that. Now think about the nuclear explosion. In this nuclear explosion, 1 gram of matter, when 1 gram of missing mass is converted into cubic kilometer volume of space-filling matter in millionth of a second. That I hope you understood what I am saying. The explosion is the ratio of the explosion incomparable to any chemical explosion. 1 gram of matter, missing mass, is converted into a cubic kilometer volume of a super thin form of matter in millionth of a second. When this happens, for example, in a nuclear reaction or in a radioactivity, when a missing matter explodes, the explosion propels the product fragments or product particles. So when these particles collide with the surrounding matter, it results in the generation of heat. So we can explain how nuclear energy is released without considering the special relativity. So it has a huge significance. It is not ends there. It has a huge significance because mass effect is a universally occurring phenomenon. We know the radioactivity, radioactive reactions in our power plants, radioactive power plants, fission reactor, nuclear reaction. That when a powerhouse means nuclear power reactions, So all this it creates very tiny amount of mass effect. In particle accelerator, for example, it creates very slight mass effect. But see our sun, every second it creates billions and billions of tons of mass defect each second. So our sun, each second release a huge amount of space-filling matter. Now think about our galaxy. We have in our galaxy around 300 to 400 billion stars are there. Each star per second produces so much mass effect, and these all mass effects are explosive transformed into another form of matter. Now, supernova explosions, black hole mergers, neutron star collisions, asteroid impacts on other planets or something, and collision of other stars or debris in a black hole or whatever. All these events collectively, I am talking about our galaxy only. In our galaxy itself, collectively, all the stars, all the 200 to 400 billion stars, all these nuclear, the neutron star collisions, black hole mergers, supernova explosions, all these events creates a mass effect on a very large scale. So when all these mass effects are transformed into a space-filling matter, it creates that means the entire universe, each galaxy in the universe, every galaxy in the universe expels or release enormous amount of space-filling matter. So that means the space itself is filled with this type of matter. Now, think about this bottle. This bottle, it has some water. It is a plastic, but it can withstand the pressure of the atmospheric pressure. But I am just telling for the sake of this thought experiment. If you remove all the air molecules, all air atoms, all atoms or molecules from this, still there is matter. That means space is not empty. Space is filled with the type of matter. Wait, I think sound will interfere with this. So, space is filled with a type of matter. So it has in fact, if space is filled with a type of matter, the space inside an atom also must be filled with it. So it will rewrite the atomic structure. Now, as a form of matter, this matter will be attracted by gravity. So every massive body in the universe, because of gravity, maintains a dense region of this space-filling matter around it. The density will be higher near the body, and it decreases with the distance. So when a beam of light passes through this region of space, the light will get slowed down and will get refracted. So when a beam of light passes close to a star or a planet or a black hole, whatever, a massive body, because of the denser space-filling matter surrounding this body, light will get refracted. This can explain starlight bending, gravitational lensing, phenomena like starlight bending, all this. So, in fact, according to general relativity, mass, gravity is the curvature of space-time created by mass and energy. General relativity says that mass and energy creates curvature in space-time. So according to general relativity, gravity is the curvature in space-time. Now, we saw that starlight bending and gravitational lensing is because of the refraction of light by dense regions surrounding massive bodies. Now, another evidence for the general relativity is the precession of the perihelion of Mercury's orbit, and also S2 star. S2 star is the closest star to the Milky Way, the center of the Milky Way galaxy, the galactic center. So now, since Sun, now we'll talk about the precession of the perihelion of Mercury's orbit. The Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun. So when the Mercury approaches the perihelion region, since the density of the space-filling matter in that the perihelion region of the Mercury's orbit is sufficient enough to influence its path. So when the Mercury approaches the perihelion region, because of the presence of the denser space-filling matter, it will influence the path, the Mercury's path. So what will happen? The Mercury, each time when the Mercury approaches the perihelion region, it will slightly skid forward. Each time Mercury approaches the perihelion region, it will skid forward. So since each time this happens, so when we develop the orbital path of the Mercury, it will become like a flower. That means the precession orbit of the Mercury. The same thing is true for the orbital anomaly of the S2 star. So, based on my studies, the precession of the perihelion of Mercury and the orbital behavior of S2 star is not because of the curved space-time as suggested by general relativity. In fact, this space-filling matter, the dense space-filling matter surrounding massive bodies, can also explain the precession effect of this. And also gravitational time dilation. We know that GPS, the atomic clock in the GPS system runs at a faster than the atomic clock on Earth. There is a time delay between on Earth and high altitude space. A high altitude not necessary any distance. If you increase inch by inch or any measurement, always the closer as closer the clock, as the clock closer to the Earth, time ticks slower. As you move away from a massive body such as the Earth, the time ticks faster. We can explain with the denser space-filling matter surrounding the Earth or any other massive body. Now here it is how when an atom is located near Earth, the density of space-filling matter outside of the atom is high. Also, as I said before that, if space is filled with something, the space inside an atom also must be filled with the same thing. So when an atom is located near the Earth, the density of this matter will influence the density of the matter inside the atom also. So it will influence the vibrational motion of the electron. So at a lower altitude, since the density of space-filling matter is high, it vibrates at a slower rate. When an electron vibrates at slower rate, it emits long wavelength radiation. So we consider the frequency of the photon as the measurement of the ticking the clock. So an electron, an atomic clock, the vibrating electrons at a lower altitude, because of the density is high, it vibrates at a slower rate, so it will emit a long wavelength photon. At the same time, you go up altitude, the space, for example, the GPS system, since the density is less there, electrons will vibrate more freely, so vibration frequency will increase. So that will emit a short wavelength photons. So this can explain the time dilation due to gravity, and many other redshift, gravitational redshift also because of this thing. Now I have developed a technology that gravimeter. We can develop a gravimeter. Gravimeter means the instrument to measure the gravity. So I consider the hydrogen fine structure of hydrogen. Since the latest element, it is more sensitive to any difference in density. So if you make a fine structure, if you measure the fine structure, the splitting of spectral lines at a lower altitude, because of the density is great, and also if you compare the fine structure, the splitting on low altitude and high altitude, since hydrogen is the lightest element, it is more sensitive to density difference. It is we can make a scale. So as you go up, high altitude altitude increases, the widening of the spectral lines will change accordingly. So we can make a scale, gravity scale with this. So it has so many applications, like gravimeter. So we can develop a gravimeter. So I just mentioned about a technology. So it has a huge significance. So it will, in fact, and another thing is that gravity is an attractive force. Gravity, according to Einstein, gravity is a curvature in space-time. So we dismissed the idea that gravity is a curvature of space-time. So gravity still remains as an attractive force, as suggested by Sir Isaac Newton. So gravity is nothing but is an attractive force. So this is new physics. So this can explain new physics. I am developing new physics, and also it will, if something is filled in space. And now I tell you another interesting point. Consider this is our galaxy. Okay, this is a galaxy, our galaxy. So our galaxy consists of billions of stars, billions of 200 to 400 billion stars. The star density is high here. This is the supermassive black hole center, and it is like a disk. The disk means the center bulge. Center is bulge. The population of stars will be the highest in the center region, and it reduces with the distance. So it's a disk. So now think about a beam of light travels from one edge to the opposite edge. When a photon traveling from one edge to the opposite edge, so the photon will interact with millions of stars in its path. So each time when a photon reaches a star, the photon's speed will reduce. Also, the light will refract because the photon will bend because of the refraction. So consider a photon traveling from one edge to the opposite edge. So while traveling from this side to this side, it will interact. It will go through millions of stars, and each time when the photon reaches the star, it refracts and bends, and it will pass by the star, again reach the other star, another next adjacent star. So now think, if we draw the path of the star, it will be like this. It will twist, and each time it twist or bend, its speed will change. So the photon, if you draw the path of a photon which travels from one edge of a galaxy to the opposite edge, it will be like this. It will change its direction multiple times, millions of times. Its speed will change millions of times. Now think about galaxies, a collection of galaxies, a galaxy cluster. So this is a galaxy cluster. Thousands of galaxies in this cluster. So now a beam of light starts its journey from here to here. The same thing will happen. So light will go like this, twist and bend, and millions of times its speed will change, its trajectory will change. So that is the case. Now the point, the speed of light, according to the current understanding, speed of light is a universal constant. Speed light travels at a constant. Light has a universal constant. According to general relativity or special relativity, light has a universal constant speed. Now see what we saw. In fact, within our another interesting part I want to stress is that Earth has a dense region around it. So we can consider a bubble of space-filling matter surrounds the sun. Now each planet, because of gravity, maintains a bubble, dense space-filling bubble made of the dense space-filling matter. Now each planet has a bubble. Now the sun has a gigantic bubble, because if more than 99% of the total mass of the solar system is located within the sun itself. So the sun's bubble is very gigantic. Now think about other stars. Each star and their planets have their own bubble. Now the Earth's bubble is located in the sun's bubble, and the sun's bubble is located the gigantic bubble created by the supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy, Milky Way galaxy. So there are so many bubbles. Now the gravity probe B meant to verify Einstein's this curved space-time theory. Now we have an explanation for why the gravity probe B showed the disturbance. I hope many of you know what is gravity probe B. Gravity probe B was a gyroscope. Its axis directed towards a star. So since a gyroscope, it will stay like that. Now they observed this gravity probe B for years, and finally they found that there is a slight variations in the direction, probe in direction. Now I can explain with this bubble, because Earth's bubble, we are the galaxy probe. The gravity probe is situated in the bubble, within the bubble. So each time as the moon rotates around the sun, the bubble will overlap. When the moon is in the opposite side of the Earth, it will not. Moon's bubble is not interacting with this gyroscope. But when the moon comes, rotates and comes to this point, then the bubble of the moon and bubble of the earth will overlap. Also, when a planet orbits, for example, any Mars or any planet, Jupiter, any planet, since this the dynamic, every planets are orbiting, so the overlapping between the bubbles results, it will influence the direction of the gyroscope. So that can explain the variations in the axis. So all the phenomena, in fact, all the phenomena which are explained or predicted by the theory of relativity, the special theory and the general theory of relativity, can be explained with this space-filling matter. When you add the space-filling matter into the picture, you will get a better understanding of all these phenomena, and we can explain all these phenomena. You can find a better and alternative explanation. So this is the new physics. Now I am developing a paper, research paper for peer review. I am developing that now. Recently I published a book about my work. It is available on Amazon. 1 year before I published one book, and recently I published another book that you can, if you are interested, you can buy. The book link I provided in the description of this video, this live stream. You can find, if you are interested, you can find the links in the description box. Thank you for your time and your interest.